In August 2018, Meighan Cordie, a 27-year-old, and her mother, Jennifer Wadsworth, attended a family friend's wedding ceremony in Yamhill County, Oregon. It was supposed to be a fun night of dancing and celebration, where everyone would be happy and joyful. But as they were leaving the event, something terrible happened to Meighan. Only 3 people know the true story, and one of them is no longer alive to tell it. One claims Meighan simply walked away from the car and disappeared, and the third person was just a 3-year-old sitting in the back seat, Meighan's daughter, who had no understanding of what was happening. Meighan Cordie was born in December 1990 to father Anthony Cordy and mother Jennifer Wadsworth. She had an older sister and a younger brother, Jacob. Not much information is available about Meighan's childhood, as her father worked in the fire department and they lived in Oregon. Meighan became a mother to a beautiful little girl named Gia in 2015, who became the center of Meighan's life. On August 18, Meighan, her mother Jennifer, and their 3-year-old daughter Gia attended a family friend's wedding ceremony at the Heiser Farms event venue in a peaceful rural area, seemingly an ideal place for celebrating a couple's love. The closest people to them had a disagreement the day before about who would go to the wedding venue, an area unfamiliar to Jennifer, with Jennifer arguing that if Gia got tired and didn't finish the party, her daughter would come back. It was noted that alcohol played a significant role. The couple seemed to have a beautiful ceremony, followed by a lively reception. Good drinks flowed freely, and everyone seemed to be having a good time except for Meighan and Jennifer, who were both visibly intoxicated. They were heavily intoxicated, and Jennifer was observed stumbling noticeably. Rated between 6 and 8 on a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of drunkenness. There was no one to call them out, so they decided to drive themselves. Gia started getting tired around 10 p.m. She was only 3 years old at the time, and Meighan didn't want to attend because she couldn't imagine her daughter falling asleep with all the noise and commotion. Jennifer was not deterred and wanted to stay. However, Meighan had to insistently get her mother into the car. Jennifer insisted on driving and sat behind the wheel while Meighan was in the front seat, and Gia was secured in her car seats. An argument ensued in the car, and after a short drive, Jennifer stopped, and Meighan turned off her phone, implying that authorities would know what had happened. Before Jennifer could convince Meighan to return to the car this time, they continued arguing in the car. Jennifer wanted Meighan to get in the car, but they were arguing loudly on the road. Jennifer was sitting with Gia in the back seat while Meighan was on the phone with her boyfriend, hearing an ongoing argument between them. Some reports suggest that Meighan told her boyfriend that Jennifer was drunk, and the phone call ended with her boyfriend realizing he would never talk to her again or see her alive. Jennifer wanted to quickly leave the scene. Meighan got out and left her phone and shoes in the car. Jennifer yelled at Meighan through the driver's side window, but when she turned the car, Meighan around to look for him. She was nowhere to be seen. She then spent the next 30 minutes driving back and forth on that stretch of road before deciding to go home, saying she wanted to bring Gia back home. That night, Jennifer went home, went to bed, and fell asleep without knowing whether her daughter had made it safely or not. The next morning, on August 19th, Jennifer wakes up to find Meighan missing. She searched for Meighan for 2 hours before calling the police, but she couldn't find her. Authorities received the report and took Meighan's sudden disappearance very seriously. She seemed to have walked away from a car in a dark and unfamiliar area in a rural region. It looked like a tragedy. A request for volunteers to help search for Meighan was sent out, and the area was flooded with volunteers. There was no trace of Meighan along the route to indicate where she might have been, and the darkness of the night made the search even more challenging with no lights around. They wanted to talk more with Jennifer, but first they wanted to search her car. They found Meighan's phone and shoes in front seat where Meighan had sat for the first time when leaving the wedding venue. Whilst Meighan's phone was concerning, there was something even more alarming inside the car. A bunch of blonde hair on the front seat, still stuck together at all the roots, indicating they had been pulled out, not cut. Now, the argument Jennifer referred to seemed much more serious than before. Jennifer claimed that just before she got out of the car, we started driving and she was yelling. As mentioned at the beginning of this case, only 3 people know what happened that day. And all blame here lies on Meighan's side, who always got into fights, and it seems Jennifer is hiding part of her story, pretending Meighan went crazy because of Gia's cries. Jennifer said Meighan's arm was cut, but she was barely opening the door. When Meighan called her boyfriend, she asked him to come, saying she was in danger, speaking as if something was going to happen to her. The wedding guests who said Jennifer was noticeably drunk. Was Meighan worried about how her mother was driving? If so, why did she leave her daughter in the car? After 4 days of intense searching, authorities had to call off the search. A large number of manpower had gone looking for Meighan, but there was still no sign of her within a long radius of where Jennifer said she walked away from the car. Meanwhile, investigators became suspicious. Jennifer's story didn't make sense, and when the results of her lie detector test were inconclusive, she wasn't telling them the whole truth. On August 23th, a day after the search of Meighan was halted, a group of joggers was enjoying a brisk run along the quiet roads of Dayton when one of them noticed something at the bottom of a steep embankment. It was Meighan Cordie, the one everybody had been searching for and reported on. Meighan was found 9 miles away from where Jennifer said she walked away from the car. This discovery put a heartbreaking end to a disturbing case. She was transferred to the coroner for autopsy. The results showed she had suffered significant injuries, and the cause of Meighan's death was declared as severe head trauma. The results showed she had not hit any part of the car, and even with the bare feet she had gone with, her feet had no wounds in this meantime. Her mother, Jennifer, stopped cooperating with investigators. There are many possibilities. Perhaps when the car was going at high speed, Meighan threw herself out and crossed the embankments. But in October, Jennifer went to trial, and since Jennifer had not undergone interrogation that night, prosecutors had to rely solely on witness testimonies from those who had seen her at the wedding ceremony. She was ultimately convicted of driving under the influence. There are no charges related to her daughter's death. The prosecutors and district attorney publicly expressed their dissatisfaction with the lack of charges related to Meighan's death, stating that Jennifer had missed the police and spent 5 days in jail and was sentenced to 3 years in prison. Gia now lives with her father in Oregon, and Jennifer is not allowed to have any contact with her. The latest update in this case is that Meighan's father sued Jennifer to negligence, which contributed to Meighan's death. While driving, we may never know what happened to Meighan Cordie. What do you think? Case closed. If you're into crime stories and documentaries, subscribe to our channel because we'll be posting loads of videos every day.